Okay, I am in my car, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to ask Eden to have Elizabeth join her because I've gone to every place I can think of. Okay, Elizabeth, if you're there, come on so we can talk about binaural beats. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Hold on one second. I'm not seeing her. On. Elizabeth, if you're there, are you there? Yes, she is.
Hi. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. What a nightmare. So,
the woman with every solution has found a car.
I found a car because I'm like, I have Wi-Fi in my car. We've had the neighbor for some reason requested some fancy thing in the area, and it's like put us all. No, none of us have the right Wi-Fi. So anyway, that doesn't matter. We're here to talk to you. So thank you so much for hanging with us, guys. This is Elizabeth Krasnoff, and she is a doctor of sound, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you call yourself a doctor of sound?
That's right.
Is that a good way to? Yeah, okay. And I've been thinking a lot about just how do we calm ourselves when we're getting ready for a creative session. And there's so many things going on in the world. There's so much sort of noise, and we have a million things that we're doing and a million sounds coming at us and emails and texts and everything else. And I can remember when I was the most prolific in my life, what this sort of thing that I used to do beforehand, which was really take 2 or 3 hours to kind of just work out, sit with myself, shut all the noise out, and really think about what I wanted to talk about in a session or with an artist, and really just kind of go into me. And it made me start thinking about what do we as writers or as creatives do to get ourselves ready to accept that creativity or to accept that inspiration. How do we kind of calm the noise? And there are many, many ways that we do that, and I would love for people even to comment in the chat, about how they do it, so maybe we can read some of that out. But it made me think about what Elizabeth does, and maybe, Elizabeth, you can give people a little bit of insight into what binaural beats are.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see. My business is called Sound Medicine, and it's really about studying all the medicinal aspects of sound and music. And let's say there's 2 basic categories of sound: high tech or low tech. What's low tech? Low tech is your voice. You're using it right now. Mm-hmm. And you can use your voice at any time with a calming intention. That's what a lullaby is. It's always available to you. You can always hum to yourself. You can always take a deep breath and allow yourself to hear the air leaving. It's already calming. Someone just took a deep breath. And
I mean, your voice is always very calming to me too. Deep and you speak very intentionally. And I wanted to bring up the actual song that you're going to give everybody in the community to download, because I tried that myself. I know, it's awesome. And you actually created this song, and you created it with using binaural beats, and that's at a certain frequency. And Elizabeth believes that these frequencies, and I've actually, in using it, I was way clearer, way more focused, helps us get in touch with ourselves, which really is the most important thing for creativity.
So now we're over in the high tech. So binaural beats are a combination of low tech and high tech. And by high tech, what I mean is that all sound has medicinal properties. If you just, tune into it, you're all doing that all the time as songwriters. But what is a high tech use of sound? Well, that's what I did my dissertation in. Binaural beats, and that is using a specific pathway in the brain, in the way that we hear, to create certain states of consciousness, right? You take a tone, you split it. You all know what phasing is. You all have that cool friend with the cool guitar pedal that can phase and make these really cool reverberations. Well, you can do that intentionally with tones. And that's what binaural beats is. You you split a tone by a certain amount and send one into the left ear and one into the right ear. And that certain amount is what guides the frequency, the brain wave that you're asking your brain to resonate or produce. So we know from many different fields of research that lower frequencies like alpha or theta create an inward focused state. Why is that important for you? Why would soothing music with binaural beats in an alpha theta frequency help you tune into your creative downloads? Well, there are sort of, let's say, 3 different places of creativity. Let's say there's conscious creativity, right? That's the state you're in all day. It's very high powered. It's beta brainwaves, it's gamma brainwaves. You are focused, you are doing, you are producing. Kara is never in that state, right, Kara? Never. No, she's always very relaxed.
Yes. I want to be more relaxed for sure.
That's the doing creative state. But there's a state that precedes that, and that's the state that I'm really interested in for all of you, and that's the being creative state, the subconscious quiet space where you drop down and you're quiet and you receive. And that is the alpha theta brain waves. It's inward, it's focused, and when you're silent, you can hear. You can hear what you need to do next, and you can help yourself get to that space with many things, but I really like using music and binaural beats to get there. So it's what I made was a 15-minute track. It's called Waves for Creativity, and I made it with Eve Nelson, who is a very dear friend of Kara's, and it's phenomenally gifted, and mine.
Badass, earthly woman, producer,
yes.
amazing.
Yes. And so what we put together, it's called Waves for Creativity, is a deep space using nature sounds, waves, birds, and voice, and some really nice keyboard pads, and then the alpha and theta beats. And I also put some brown noise in there. You can't hear them. You can't hear them. They're subconscious. And it's a 15-minute commitment. And what's nice about that is it's really hard for us to put the day aside, to put the phone aside, to put the friends aside, to put the social media aside, and just give ourselves a minute of downtime, right? But the downtime, when you nourish and feed that space, is what's going to give you the super juice for the uptime. It's a pair. You can't have one without the other. So you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself this 15 minutes. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to be in a place that I'm not interrupted. I'm going to either close my eye, dim the lights, pay attention to your environment, and tune out and give yourself permission to do nothing. And not even if the anxiety comes up, I have to have this big session. I have to produce. Man, it's my time and I better show up. You have to just say to those voices, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hear you. I really appreciate the support, right? All those anxiety voices, those are support voices from your ego, really, from your individual personality that really wants to see you succeed, right? So we make friends with those voices. We say, thank you, that's going to happen. I'm just going to give myself a minute here and prepare. And you need to give yourself suggestions. You do. You could say this. Let's see. I wrote down some here that I like. I like to say to myself, this is my time to make space for my unconscious, my subconscious, really, to download new ideas. This pause to make time for being is an important step before my doing. Or how about the word sacred? This is my sacred time with no phones and no interruptions. And then you just allow yourself to go. So Kara, she had an interesting experience when she listened to this track. Do you want to talk about it?
I've often wondered why when I actually have had a massage ever in my life, the music that they play, I always kind of feel very creative when I'm having a massage, and I never really could understand why, because it's supposed to be relaxing, but it actually has the opposite effect when there's certain music on, where it makes my brain, it kind of stimulates my brain. And so when I was like, okay, Elizabeth, I have to listen to this music before I, put you in front of this community, because I have to make sure that, it's going to be good for them. So what it did for me was, when I put it on, I almost felt a little bit afraid in the beginning of it, because it sort of awakened something inside me. And music for me I always have a very emotional response to it. So it kind of made me almost like, whoa, that's really like heavy. And my eyes started fluttering about a lot, which I guess I was trying to calm down, because I do feel very stimulated during the day with everything going on, and with tons of emails, and just it's very hard for me to kind of claim my space where I can find clarity. And I think that what it did for me after listening, I felt very focused, and I could hear everything after listening to that piece of music more clearly, and I mean what was going on in the room. And so why I really want to bring this to the community is, I know not everybody, we have different belief systems around our unconscious and conscious, and all of these sort of words, and how we find our creativity and where it comes from, and we all have different ideas about that. But one thing I think we can all agree on is that when there is chaos and noise and constant stimulation, it's very hard for us to listen to the part of us that is creative, that is telling us how we feel, is able to say, you're playing that music and I can't hear anything because I'm just so out of touch with what I'm feeling. And so anything that gives us, whether it's the Calm app or meditation or a walk in nature, which resets our sort of, our body to not be prone to those man-made sounds, but rather kind of like the nature sounds that calm us down. That's why when you go for a walk, you feel clarity and you feel better, because you're actually now listening to just, natural sounds as opposed to man-made sounds. So anything like this beat that Elizabeth is going to give to our community that can actually stop you in your tracks, calm you down, and focus you is so important. And I think especially when you're coming up, I said I used to spend 2 to 3 hours. I was writing every single day, and 2 to 3 hours may sound like a luxury to you, and I was very lucky to have that time when I was doing well. But it was my workout before going into the studio. I wasn't just, sitting there eating bonbons. I was actually calming my system down, thinking about how I felt, thinking about, kind of thinking about the artists I was working with, maybe what they were going through, and really in my imagination, and your imagination with clarity and focus is like an undeniable combination to get you to your creativity.
And I love that you mentioned movement, because a lot of my clients will not sit down for meditation. They can't. They're very active. And I also make walking meditation specifically for people that like to move and quiet themselves at the same time. This
That's me.
meditation, that's you.
Definitely me.
This meditation can be used that way too, if you listen to it and go for walks. So what happens when you walk is you engage left, right. And when you engage left, right in your body, you engage both of your brain hemispheres and you synchronize your brain hemispheres. And that creates an availability of all of your brain. It makes it a more efficient workspace, let's just say. And so you've heard, I'm sure, all of the research that it's really good to take walks together when you're working on a business idea, or when you need to come up with a proposal, or just, take your meeting outside. The other thing that's important to mention is that there is a frequency in nature, and that frequency is the Schumann frequency. It's 7.83. That's theta. So there is a natural frequency in nature that is our meditative state. That is the state that our brains meditate at. So as soon as you're in nature, you are already entraining to a meditative state. And then if you're walking, you're synchronizing your brain hemispheres. And if you add some music and some binaural beats, basically you're stacking the cards in your favor. All of these things work synergistically. If you have a breathing practice, add that. If you use light therapy, add that. If you use yoga, add that. You are stacking the cards in your favor. And as you said, the more calm you can get and the more you let go, that's the other thing that happens when you massage. You let go, right? You're no longer so focused externally. What happens is you begin to focus internally. And that's where your magic is.
I love that you said that you're focusing internally, because one of the biggest things I believe about songwriting is the more you know yourself, can feel, and can allow yourself to process what that is and put it into words and music, the better your music will be, because it will be authentic.
Absolutely.
And it will be different than what everyone else is doing. I'm wondering if anybody in the community has a question for Elizabeth. I'm going to see. I'm going to go in the group here, and I wonder if I can add someone else into this. I've never really done that. But maybe someone has a comment or a question they want to put in, and I can look and I can ask you, although, Elizabeth, I may not be the one to find these comments. But anyway, I really think this is a very interesting and important conversation, because, more than anything, what we do as songwriters is really about how we feel. If we're not feeling well, or we're feeling upset or sad, that's definitely going to come through in our music. And when we are overstimulated and not inside of our bodies and our feelings, it's very hard to process an authentic emotion, to kind of,
There is a comment there from Evan Music that dance helps in the same way. And I love that you bring dance into this, because rhythm is one of the strongest entrainments that we have. To move with rhythm, it just takes you to another place. We have so much research to back that up. Do you know that therapists, they take little babies, and if they bounce them on their lap rhythmically, that baby will be more willing to pick up a toy in the experiment that follows and work with the therapist than the baby that was bounced in a dissonant way. Rhythm bonds, rhythm connects, and rhythm recenters you. So moving to music is some of the biggest medicine that you can find. So I love that you said that.
That is so crazy that you guys
Kinesthetics,
said that too.
yeah.
When I used to be in the studio, I would have to move to get the best takes.
Yeah.
I couldn't just sit there and sing. I had to actually be
Feel
moving
it.
with it to almost be in time and feeling it. And that is so interesting. Yeah.
And there's something else you said that was important, and that is that, to be a creative, a songwriter, you're going to be a pretty intuitive, empathic person, right? You're going to have a lot of channels open, a lot of antenna out there. It's a practice to learn how to be open to everyone around you and to maintain yourself and your presence, which is what you very much need in that moment.
This is just fascinating. I mean, first of all, I just love listening to you talk because you're putting the science where, you know, as creatives, we know that we like to be relaxed and we like, you know, there's certain things we do just naturally because we've figured them out. But there's actually a science to what you're talking about. And I do believe that, you know, when you're talking to songwriters like in this app, it's not just about writing, but it's about a lifestyle. How do you prepare yourself to be in the best position to go and to be in this world as a songwriter? And I don't mean just by writing big songs. I mean by living in the world as a songwriter. And living in the world as a songwriter is really about being in touch with yourself and other people. And that is a very beautiful way to live and also a very difficult way to live. And so when you're constantly in your own feelings and this is your currency and you're trying to express it, how do you fill yourself up to get yourself to that place where you can access that in a world that is, you know, many times on the surface, right?
And like, very loud.
Yeah.
You have every right to manage your noise because as a music person, you are incredibly sensitive to audio and sound and noise, and nobody manages their sound environment. Nobody gives themselves those moments of silence. What would a beat be without the spaces in between?
Yeah.
So we are taking, you know, you say take a beat, you have to take a space between the beat, a space before the beat. And give yourself the sign. Someone wrote here, this is all very new and interesting to me. When I visit a different location in the world, I draw the energy differently, and because of it, new inspiration comes about. I wanted to say something about how the brain works. So your body always wants to be efficient. We like run on a battery. You have to be efficient to survive. That's your, you know, MO. That's how the human system, how all systems work. And when you repeat and repeat and repeat, that's very efficient. So we tend to be repetitive. But there is a moment when you break the pattern. It requires more energy, but it does a different thing. So when you travel, you break a pattern. You do something new. It's going to require more energy of you. You're making new neural pathways. You're making new circuits, right? So something else is happening. You are becoming very present and centered and grounded because you have to pay attention to this new environment. So that is a very, right? So that's another way of getting there. Break a pattern. By the way, isn't that one of the biggest tools in your toolkit as a songwriter? Break a pattern. That's how you get attention.
Well, it is. You do want to break a pattern. You want to stand out. And it's one of the scariest things and one of the best things, right?
Because it pulls us present.
And then it makes you even think the fact that we're so sensitive to sound and to all of these things. We were that way as kids. And it made us maybe feel like we didn't belong or something was off. But I can remember feeling music in such a different way than my friends did. I could almost cry listening to it. And they would be like, "What's wrong with you?" You know, and I'd be like, "No, I just feel it so deeply." And or the noise, any kind of noise was like shocking to me in a way that was, you know, maybe not to everybody else. So I love that you're talking about our sensitivity to sound. And so how do we get this beat? You're gonna put it in the, you're gonna send it to Eden, and she's gonna post it, I guess, for everyone.
Yep. Or you can go to my website, sound-medicine.com, and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get a free binaural beats track that way too. And then in another couple weeks, I'm going to release another one by the newsletter. So that's one way to keep getting free tracks. Or I'll just give one to Eden, and you can get it that way.
That's awesome. I mean, I hope this has been, I mean, you know, we've known each other since high school, and you're a dear friend, but I've really learned so much about what you're doing, and I've looked back at my life and the way I wrote songs and what I did to prepare. And so much of what I did, I naturally just figured out kind of what you're already doing, but you're doing it in such a more advanced way with science behind you. And I want to give the community the benefit to kind of look at these ways of opening up our creativity, you know, and it may not work for everyone, but if it works for a few people, or if, you know, then it's something we need to discuss, because if someone in our community is benefiting, then we're all benefiting, right? So,
you said something really important. Every sound brain is different. Every sound brain is different. And your auditory brain is the sum total of your personal experience of life. So everybody has to make their own relationship with sound and how it is in their lives, medicinally and otherwise.
Awesome. And you guys, if you want to know more about binaural beats, look online. I mean, there's some interesting, fascinating articles about how it almost has a dopamine effect in the brain, and it really is opening up creativity. And, you know, these are all really interesting topics that I'm so glad that you're on this journey of exploring with us. I can't thank you enough, Elizabeth. You'll definitely be back on. You're just, I'm relaxed just listening to you.
Maybe that, or that the lights went out over there.
No, I'm in my car. Okay, and it's starting to get really dark.
Nothing stops the Cara.
No, nothing stops. I mean, if I had to, I would figure out. I would go next door and be like, "You don't know me, but I need your Wi-Fi."
You would be the antenna.
You're funny. Oh, you're the best.
An honor to be with you and your community. Good luck, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye-bye.